Square, what the memorial would look like, and what was yet to be determined. But where it should be located seemed instantly clear to both of us. When I said that it should go on the Mall between Union and Congress Street, where it would make a statement as dramatic as the history itself it would honor, Steve's eyes lit up. He envisioned the memorial standing shoulder to shoulder with Boston and America's emblems of freedom and liberty and social justice. From the mayor's office, we could see historic Faneuil Hall that will forever be known as the cradle of liberty. Peter Faneuil, a refugee like Steve, had given the city a building where abolitionists could light the fuse that became the war to end slavery. A century later, another child of Boston, John F. Kennedy, delivered an election eve speech there in which he vowed to be the champion of the aged, of children, the handicapped, and a friend to all those who have been forgotten, of those who have not been remembered, and those who have needed a helping hand, along with those in need of a good neighbor. In front of Faneuil Hall stands the statue of Samuel Adams, looking ready to once again take up the fight for freedom and liberty. Adams wrote and spoke thousands of words championing freedom and liberty, but none were more powerful than the simple rejoinder when someone tried to make a gift to his family of a woman kept in human bondage. A slave cannot live in my house. If she comes, she must be free. Mere feet from Mr. Adams sits James Michael Curley's statue, dressed in his typical three-piece suit. In life, he often crowned his outfit with a perfectly blocked Homburg, but he grew up not in finery, but in dire poverty. His parents escaped death and starvation in Ireland by making their way to Boston. Both parents were refugees, having survived the coffin ships to start a new life in Boston, just as Steve Ross would do. Jim Curley gave back as our mayor of the poor. He built public schools, health centers, public beaches, and public baths. Just out of view of the memorial is the place where a black man and an Irish man became the first to die in our nation's War of Independence. Both were gunned down by English troops in front of the old State House in the Boston Massacre. The Holocaust Memorial, I said that morning, had to be in that historic company and in memory of all freedom-loving Irish Catholics. And so it is, thanks most of all to Steve Ross, the rest, as you can see, by the 6 towers that bear witness here today, and by that magnificent book that brims with Steve's moral voice, is history.
This is Michael Ross. The road from Warsaw to Kristallnacht was heavy with gloom. Along it, miles of forests, filled with arrow-straight, deciduous trees, merged into the gray winter sky. Occasionally, a small farmhouse would dot the landscape. On that day, it was cold with a wet snow falling. It was 71 years after the Holocaust. It happened to be my birthday, but it felt joyless, as my mind was elsewhere. I was imagining how cold my father, Steve Ross, must have been, surviving 5 of these winters, wearing only paper-thin pajamas. These were the woods he attempted to hide in, only to be captured by Nazis and sent to a series of 10 concentration camps until his liberation from Dachau on April 29, 1945. The purpose of my visit to Kristallnacht was to trace the final days of my father's murdered family, my grandparents, 6 aunts and uncles, and 2 cousins. After the Nazis arrived in Lodz in September 1939, my father, then an 8-year-old boy, and his family fled from their home with whatever possessions they could carry. They headed eastward, attempting to